Hey, welcome. So, if you've ever had to deal with traditional IT infrastructure, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It can feel like this just tangled mess of wires and servers and storage systems that are an absolute nightmare to manage. Well, today we're going to unravel all that chaos. We're going to explore how a modern approach is bringing that cloud like simplicity right into your data center. All right, let's get into it. So think about it like this. You've got the old way, traditional IT. Everything lives in its own separate box, its own silo. You've got your servers for compute over here, a totally separate system for storage over there, and yet another one for networking. It's so complex, it's incredibly rigid, and trying to scale it up, oh, that's a massive headache. But then you look at the modern approach, and it's the complete opposite. It's simple, it's all integrated, and it's flexible. It's all about tearing down those silos. And that really brings us to the core question, doesn't it? Why does all this have to be so complicated? I mean, why are IT teams spending their nights and weekends just trying to keep the lights on instead of actually innovating and moving the business forward? Well, it turns out the problem isn't the individual parts, it's how they're all cobbled together. And a really big idea came along to fix exactly that. And that big idea is called hyperconvergence. Now, I know, the name sounds super technical, but trust me, the concept behind it is beautifully simple. The question it asks is, what if, instead of all these separate, complicated systems, we just combined compute, storage, and networking into one single software-defined solution? And that is exactly what hyperconverged infrastructure, or HCI, is all about. It's a framework that takes all those critical data center functions and merges them into one slick, integrated system. And what this means is you can say goodbye to those separate, bulky storage arrays that are so expensive and just a pain to manage. Instead, everything is streamlined, and it's all handled through some really intelligent software. And you really can't talk about HCI without talking about Nutanix. I mean, they're the ones who really took this idea of hyperconvergence and made it a reality for thousands and thousands of organizations. They're helping businesses everywhere modernize their infrastructure, slash their costs, and get ready for this new hybrid multi-cloud world we live in. Okay, so how does it all actually work? Let's kind of peel back the layers and get under the hood a little bit. We're going to look at the core components that make up the Nutanix platform. This is the software-defined foundation that everything else is built on top of. So at the very heart of the system, you have something called Acropolis. The easiest way to think about it is like the brain, or, the central operating system for the entire platform. It's the thing that handles all the storage management, the virtualization, the automation. It's the boss. And it's made up of a couple of key parts. One of those really key parts is the Acropolis Hypervisor, or AHV. This is the engine that actually runs all of your virtual machines. And here's the kicker, the part you'll really love. AHV is this incredibly powerful, enterprise-grade hypervisor that's built right in, at no additional cost. This is huge, because it means you can ditch those super pricey third-party licenses from companies like VMware. So, if Acropolis is the brain, then Prism is the dashboard. It's this beautiful, simple, web-based interface that you use to manage everything. We're talking about your single pane of glass. From here, you can monitor performance, plan for future capacity, and, get this, perform really complex operations with just a single click. It's all about making management incredibly, incredibly simple. And all these components we've talked about, Acropolis, AHV, Prism, they all run on what's called a Nutanix cluster. A cluster is really just a group of individual servers, or nodes, that are all working together as one big, unified system. And the beauty of this whole setup is how easy it is to scale. Need more power? You just add another node to the cluster. It's really that simple. So we've got this really solid foundation, but honestly, the real magic is in the smart features that make the day-to-day operations just ridiculously easy. This is where the platform truly shines, turning what used to be hours of manual work into just a few moments. Okay, take the one-click upgrade, for example. I mean, anyone who's ever worked in IT knows the dread of upgrade weekend. It's risky, it's time-consuming, and it means late nights. Well, Nutanix turns that whole nightmare into a simple, automated, one-click process. The system runs all the checks for you and handles the entire upgrade without causing any downtime. And the process itself? It could not be simpler. First, the system runs all these pre-checks to make sure everything is good to go. Then, you click a button to start. That's it. From there, the cluster performs a rolling upgrade, moving from node to node, so your applications keep running the entire time. It is a total game changer. Next up, there's a really powerful performance feature called data locality.
The idea here is really simple. You want to keep an application's data as physically close to the application as you possibly can. By storing a virtual machine's data on the exact same node it's running on, Nutanix just slashes network chatter and latency. And the result? Faster, way more responsive applications. Simple as that.
But what happens if a node fails, right? I mean, hardware isn't perfect. Well, that's where high availability comes in. The platform is designed from the ground up for resilience. If a hardware or software failure happens on one node, the virtual machines that were running there are automatically, and I mean automatically, restarted on other healthy nodes in the cluster. You don't have to do anything. The business just keeps on running. Now, when it comes to protecting your data, you've got a couple of really cool options. You can think of replication factor, or RF, as making several full photocopies of a critical document. It's super fast and reliable if you need a copy, but yeah, it takes up more space. Then there's erasure coding, or EC, which is way smarter. It's kind of like tearing the document into pieces and creating a special key piece. You can recreate the whole thing even if a few pieces get lost, and it uses way less storage space. It's perfect for things like archives and backups where you want to be really efficient. But Nutanix has grown so much beyond just that core infrastructure. It's really a full platform now, with this rich ecosystem of services built right in. So you can add powerful file, object, and security services right on top of that same hyperconverged foundation. For instance, with Nutanix Files, you get a powerful, totally scalable file server without needing to buy any extra hardware. It supports all the standard protocols your business already uses, and of course, you manage everything right from that same simple Prism interface. And for all our modern data needs, there's Nutanix Objects. This gives you S3-compatible object storage that's the language modern cloud-native apps speak. It's perfect for all that unstructured data like backups, long-term archives, or massive media files. And again, it runs on the same cluster, which just keeps simplifying your infrastructure. And you absolutely can't talk about modern infrastructure without talking about security. Nutanix Flow provides something called microsegmentation. Basically, it lets you create these super granular security policies, think of them like digital velvet ropes, to control exactly which virtual machines can talk to each other. This dramatically shrinks your attack surface and helps prevent threats from moving around inside your network. So we have this simple, scalable, and secure platform, but the ultimate goal here, the real end game, is to bridge the gap between your private data center and the public cloud. It's about creating a true, seamless, hybrid multi-cloud experience. I mean, if you look at the evolution of IT, it tells a really clear story, right? We started with those crazy, complex, traditional silos. Then hyperconvergence came along and simplified the heck out of the data center. And now we are firmly in the multi-cloud era, where businesses absolutely need the freedom to run their applications anywhere and everywhere. And this is really where it all comes together. Nutanix gives you a consistent operating model that literally stretches from your own data center all the way out into public clouds like AWS and Azure. This gives you the freedom to manage everything from one place and to move your workloads seamlessly wherever they need to be, without ever being locked into a single vendor. Which leaves us with one final and I think really important question to think about. As technology just keeps evolving at this breakneck pace, is your infrastructure a launchpad for innovation, built for the flexible future of the multi-cloud? Or is it an anchor, stuck in the complex, siloed past? The choice, I think, is becoming clearer every single day.